What's up, vapors? Thanks for checking out Daily Vape TV. My name is Nick, and today we're going to be doing a little coil cleaning and rewicking tutorial. This is something a little bit different for you guys. I teased you guys on my Twitter that I was planning something for this weekend, and yeah, I've got some dirty coils. I need to clean them up, so what better to do than make a video on it. So this is how I usually clean my coils. So all you're going to need to do this technique is a little thing of water. You can actually just use a tiny little capful if you wanted to, or if you prefer to do this under the sink, then you could do it that way. Of course, some fresh cotton. I've got my native wicks, some scissors, and some tweezers, whether it be the pointy kind or some standard tweezers, whatever you got laying around. But let's go ahead and get started. All right, guys, so as you can see here, I've got a Gunky atomizer that we need to get cleaned up. So with that, the first step is taking your sharp tweezers. If you got sharp tweezers, they work best in my opinion. So first thing you want to do is just start taking that cotton right out. So you want to be sort of gentle with it. You don't want to really yank the coils around too much, otherwise you will damage them. But you know, you want to put some pressure behind it, obviously. If it comes out in chunks, that is not a big deal at all. You can absolutely work with that. You know, you just want to kind of keep going back and forth with it a little bit here and there until it all comes out. So just like that, you'll start noticing it. It'll break up a little bit depending on how old it is. But yeah, it's kind of like one of those earwax removal videos. It's just kind of almost euphoric in a certain sense, I suppose. Maybe some people would think it is, but personally, I'm not a huge fan of rewicking, so I tried to, you know, keep my coils as clean as I possibly can. But, you know, sometimes those sugary juices will really catch up with you as far as that goes. But there we go. We got the bulk of the cotton out now. So let's just show you. Pretty much all the cotton out now. We're just going to get rid of these last little hairs that are clinging to the edges. But there we go. So next step, obviously, we want to get rid of some of that excess juice and also clean up those coils because you can see all that gunk on there. So with that, all I'm going to do is basically just tilt my atomizer upside down like that, and that will actually start getting some of that excess juice off of there. And then we're going to attach it to our mod. We're going to take our paper towel out momentarily. I've got my chimney section for my recoil already soaking in here. Here we go. We've got our coils. We've got them on our mod. Our mod is actually turned on right now. This is at you know, the full wattage. Have it set at 95 watts. You can turn it down really if you don't feel comfortable doing it so hot, but I like to get all that gunk off all in one shot here. So what I do is I heat up my coils to where they start to glow. Just a little bit like that. Sometimes they will catch fire, so don't be too freaked out about that. That's kind of normal. That's all that excess juice burning off there. And then what you want to do is just submerge them. Be very, very careful at this stage. You don't want to dunk them too far, obviously, and you want to make sure you don't fire your mod right after this either. So next thing you want to do, shake off any excess water, obviously, and just take the addy off of your mod. And then it helps to have a dry paper towel handy to wipe off any excess liquids, especially around the 510 connection. There shouldn't be any water getting all the way down to the 510 connection, but just in case, you want to make sure everything's really good and dry and not drop your mod. Alright, so once that is all dry, you want to reattach it to your mod like so. And then give your coils another quick fire, just like that. And if they're firing unevenly, then you can just quickly tune them up again. So just want to give them a quick little strum across like that. And they're firing up nice and evenly once again. So there we go. And that's it for the cleaning portion. That's all I usually do. Alright, so now that we have our coils all good and clean, we can start wicking this thing. I've got my native wicks cotton here. And yeah, we got a little little scrap that we have left over from another build. So I think we'll utilize this. And basically, you just kind of want to get a feel for the size of your coil. This is 3 millimeters, so I know pretty much how much cotton I'm going to need. So what you want to do is basically just kind of start forming it a little bit, and if it feels like it's going to be a little too tight, then I usually just rip off a tiny little thread like that and work on it from there, basically. So you just kind of start pinching one end and rolling it, and you want to get it down to a pretty fine point. That way, when you go to put it through the coil, it just fits just like that. And normally I get it, first or second try. It's not always perfect, but you try your best. Now, as far as the tension inside the coil here, what I like to do is get it tight to the point when I feel like I'm going to move the coil. So you really want to get that stuff tight in there. You want to get that cotton really good and tight, because that means it's touching all surface area of your coil, which is good. So with that, basically to the point where I feel like I'm going to actually move the coil around, then what I do is I move it in the opposite direction. The side that I actually put the cotton in on is where I pull it to next. So I pull it out just a hair, just a tiny little bit, just to kind of puff up both sides, kind of make both sides puff out a little bit. That way it stays relatively even. So next step I do is I actually move on to the other coil. I don't bother pre-trimming it or anything like that, so I'm actually going to get a little bit more cotton out here and do a little bit of trimming. So again, just kind of do the same thing with your piece of cotton. Just kind of form it in between your fingers here and roll it around a little bit and just kind of get a feel for it, because it's really muscle memory at this point, especially I've been doing it 2 years. I've been building for about 2 years now, and I just kind of have this sense of how much cotton I'm actually going to need. So with that, what I like to do is just kind of pinch after I get a good feel for it, and goes right through like that. Pull it till it gets really nice and tight. Sometimes you might have to twist it in opposite directions as you pull, just to get it going through the coil, and that actually helps with the tightness of it as well, because sometimes it might be just a tiny bit too tight for your liking until you twist both ends opposite each other and then pull it through a little bit more, and then you get the perfect amount. So that's just a quick little tip. Then we pull it back once again, just like that. And sometimes you'll have to work it back and forth just a little bit to get that tension just right. It's very, very, very important. I feel like most people kind of leave that out of most of their tutorials, but I just wanted to kind of share that with you guys, because I think it's really, really crucial. And yeah, like, wicking to me is almost an art form in and of itself, because it's really, really important and nobody really focuses on it. So next thing we're going to be doing after we just kind of trim the excess off there is just fluff these wicks up a little bit. I like using my tweezers and just kind of pushing against it ever so slightly and just kind of fluffing them up to get some air going on in between those coils. It also will release a lot of those little tiny fibers. You might notice a few little fibers going, and that is really good, because any loose fibers is going to be kind of like wasted space in the juice well of your atomizer. So you want to just kind of pull out any little loose fibers, any little random hairs kind of that don't really serve any purpose, and it adds a little bit of air in the wicks. And the reason I think that's important is because then you have more room for juice. You have a little bit more space in between the actual fibers themselves to fit more liquid, and it's still going to hold no problem. I mean, it's got the it's kind of sticks to the wick, especially with high VG juice, tends to stick to the wicks a little bit better, and that's the kind of stuff I like to use. So just kind of finishing up there, just like that, and doing a little bit of final trimming. And you don't have to get, as precise as I get, obviously, but, like I said, this is kind of like my art form. Some people build these fancy coils. I like making nice, pretty wicks. So, just trimming off a little bit more. And we're almost there. Just a little extra hair on this one here. There we go. That's looking pretty good. All right, so next we're going to kind of separate the wicks off and then place them ever so gently inside the juice well. And you might have also noticed I thin it out. I thin the cotton out with the ceramic tweezers. Now, most people would say, why wouldn't you use the sharp tweezers for that? And my answer would be because they're almost too sharp. They tend to pull and drag and rip the cotton a little bit too much for my liking. They just kind of snag on everything. So I just like to have a little bit of a gentler gentler tweezer, I guess, would be the way I would put that. But to do that part there, because you might even see it here, if I get the right close-up shot, that it's kind of pulling, and I really don't prefer that. These tweezers aren't the greatest, but you know what, they can get in those little tiny spaces, which is why I like them so much. But so now I'll show you guys up here. We have cotton not touching the bottom of our coils, but it's basically lining the entire bottom of our juice well here, which is perfect because with that you have all that potential space for juice to get sucked up into, which is awesome. And last thing we do is give it some juice. Today I'm using Vape Parfait. This is from Vapetasia. Stuff is delicious. I've been vaping it for the past couple of weeks. Now, you really want to take a little bit more time with this step as well, because you want every little bit of that cotton to be good and saturated. You don't want to just dump juice on there. You kind of want to give it a little bit of TLC, just to get all your surface area of your wicks good and saturated. Just kind of filling up every single little one. And make sure your coil is pretty much at its most absorbed state, basically, by the time you're done doing this step here. It doesn't seem like it would be important, but I definitely take my time and saturate every little bit of cotton before I try it out for the first time, before I hit it with any power. So that's just because I don't know, maybe I'm a little bit OCD about building and dripping and whatnot, but I guess it's better to be a little bit OCD than a little bit careless. So there we go. We got juice on our coils. Every little bit of cotton is drenched. So I also just I'm doing this off camera. I'm rinsing out the top cap just because I have some old juice residue on there. And you want to make sure that's all out, because when there's old juice residue in there, sometimes it's, brown or, darker colored. And then when you put your top cap on your fresh white cotton here, it turns your cotton dark, which is kind of ugly. And, if you want to show off your coils to your friends or anything, then they're going to look pretty darn ugly. So top cap goes on. Any excess drips get wiped up, which we're looking pretty good here. All right, guys, so we've got a fresh set of wicks and coils in this Velocity V2, and I'm really looking forward to vaping on this thing. So that about does it for this video. I hope you guys did enjoy it. If you did, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe for more videos just like this. Don't forget, you can also hit the notification bell down there right next to the subscribe button if you want to be alerted whenever I upload videos. Also, make sure you drop me some comments in the box below about anything you guys want to talk about down there. What do you think of my techniques? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? Let me know. Also, check out the advocacy and my social media links in the box below. So thank you guys again for tuning in, and as always, vape on.